It does. It doesn't obviously benefit them all, because each piece of research will apply to a particular patient group or at a particular stage of the journey. But I think we're seeing good evidence that patients who've been willing to take part in clinical trials and or contribute samples from themselves or their cancers, when these are analysed in a robust and well-planned way, we can come up with conclusions which may affect their treatment and will certainly affect the treatment in the future. And so the first thing I would say is that the women who've made the effort to take part in research, there's a payoff, and many of them take part in it for altruistic reasons. The data coming out today on the survival effects are encouraging. They may not be as encouraging as some people think because there isn't a statistical improvement, but the same improvement that was seen in PFS appears to be carried through. So you take a drug, it reduces your risk of progression, and you can still get other treatments, and it hasn't interfered with the benefit of subsequent treatments. And that matters for people today. I think in a way, the way for the patient to think of it is that we no longer say to a woman, you've got breast cancer. We say you've got breast cancer and we've learnt this about it. It's ER positive, so it can be treated with hormone therapies. It's HER2 positive, you can have Herceptin, trastuzumab or other agents. What the patient needs to realise is that we're uncovering additional tests that tell us more about the biology of that cancer, which helps us better select treatments for them. It's the same concept as we've been doing for some time. So in that sense, it's our job as physicians to help patients understand this is not a whole new different way of doing things, it's a better way of doing a bit of what we did before. I think your reaction should be, if your doctor's advising it, based on the data we know, it's worth having because we've got evidence it can actually prevent your breast cancer not only coming back, but actually of you dying from it. I think the second thing is that, and I can't speak for every country in the world, but in the vast majority of countries, whilst radiotherapy may sound scary, there are very tight quality assurance systems around it so that the radiotherapy you get is as safe as it can be. And now we know that in more patient groups, it will actually prevent you dying of breast cancer. So the benefit now outweighs any risks that may have been thought of as before. Yep, data will be presented for women with 1 to 3 involved axillary nodes. It's not the entire breast cancer population, but it's a group of women who have moderately increased risk of recurrence. And we now know that they will benefit from radiotherapy based on data from pulling together a whole lot of different trials, which means the data conclusions are very robust. Obviously, not everybody needs chemo, not everybody needs radiotherapy, but these effects are additive. So getting chemotherapy has a certain benefit, getting radiotherapy has a certain benefit. And if you need both, you get benefits from both. The very good news is that as time goes by, there's a consistent trend in this direction, fewer women are dying of breast cancer. So whereas, yes, it's still scary, yes, you still need treatment, the vast majority of women will be cured of that breast cancer. And that's an important message for women. It's scary to have it diagnosed and be treated, but actually people are living longer and fewer people are dying of breast cancer now than 10 or 20 years ago. Obviously that's distressing for women. I think the important thing to understand is where you've got very solid evidence that your survival is improved and the cost of delivering that improved survival is something the NHS can afford, the drugs are available. Where the drugs are sometimes not available is where they have activity. Yes, they can shrink cancers, they may control it for a bit, but either the cost of the drug is such that the benefit for the whole NHS just doesn't justify the cost. We cannot do everything in healthcare, or there actually isn't any improvement in survival. So yes, it's working, but is that the best way of using NHS resources? So I don't think there are any examples at the moment of drugs that NICEs, or at least are unavailable when we know that the drug improves survival to a significant extent. But it's still something that women have to struggle with, I understand that. Outcomes for breast cancer continue to improve. Science is genuinely moving us into a place where we're getting better understanding as to which patients should get which treatments. It's no longer a question of giving everybody all the same treatments, but progress is iterative. So there's no single stunning thing that's happened here that will transform everybody's life with breast cancer, but it's all contributing to the same direction of travel, and it's getting better for women with breast cancer.